Unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome back to another episode of the Raw and Unscripted show with yours truly, Christopher Rausch. Welcome to the place where I help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. And boy, we got a great show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about some deep stuff. We're going to be talking about mental health, mental wealth. We're going to be talking about solutions. We're going to be talking about opportunities for us to reframe our perspectives so that our thoughts and our beliefs actually work for us and not against us. So we're going to be going all over the place a little bit tonight, but it's all designed for you guys, whether you're watching live or on the replay. It's designed for you to sit there and take a step back and say, listen, are the things that I'm doing and I'm believing, are they working for me? Yes or no? No. Okay. Might I adopt some different perspectives about what it is that I'm thinking and doing in order to get different results? Yes. Okay. That's what we're here to do. We're here to open your mind. We're here to have raw and unscripted conversations to make sure that you guys walk away from this feeling a little bit inspired, a little bit motivated, a little bit changed, a little bit ready to go, a little bit ready to be unstoppable. Got Monique in the house. Monique's already in the house. What's up? What's up? Good to see you, Monique. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you guys, whether you're live or on the replay. Always. She's pinging some people into the conversation. Yes. So anyways, where are we at? Let's see. We're at Tuesday. So last time we talked, it was Tuesday before. So a little quick update. 75 hard. Yeah, did it. 75 hard. I'm all done. 75 days of 2 workouts a day. One of them outside, 45 minutes each. A gallon of water a day, a healthy diet, no cheat meals, no booze, no sugar, no wheat, no bread. A daily progress picture and 10 pages read, not listened to, read in a personal development book for 75 days. Yeah, completed that on Saturday and promptly had Red Robin, had a big fat cheeseburger and French fries and onion rings and 3 Jack Daniels or 4 Jack Daniels in Coke. And I felt good. You know why? I felt good because I deserved it. 75 days. Oh man, it was great, man. And I appreciate all the outpouring of support from you guys, whether it was on the DMs or the posts or whatever. Thank you. Yes, it was challenging, but it was not unreasonable. And it taught me a lot about myself. Once again, this was the second time I've done the program. And it inspired me to do it because I didn't want to do it. And I didn't. So I'm just going to switch that out. So anyways, I'm just excited and I appreciate you guys. And I'm glad that I've inspired some of you guys to do it on your own. I led a group of 75. We called ourselves the 75 Hard Unstoppables. And we started off with quite a few people who were ready to do the program. And unfortunately, we only had about 4 or 5 people actually finish the program because yes, it is challenging. But here is the deal. When you make a promise and you commit to yourself, you commit to your evolution, you commit to going through whatever it is that you have to sacrifice in order to become the person that you're supposed to be, that's where the beauty is. That's where living is. Yes. We got Armageddon in the house. What's up? How you doing? Good to see you. I can't remember your real name. What's your real name? It's not Armageddon. I hope it's not Armageddon, please. I'm trying to keep my brain positive. Monique says, "You're so dope." What's up, fly girl? I'm so dope. That's a 70s saying, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. That's awesome. Thank you. So, in all seriousness, so we got a lot of stuff going on in the world. You know, I was joking around about Armageddon, but you know, some days I sit there and I wonder, are these the end times? Or is this how it all plays out? You know, the climate starts to get really messed up. We start having fires all over the place. We start having heat waves all over the place. You know, we start having what we have going on in this world, and it's no secret that a lot of us are struggling, myself too. Sometimes I'm struggling. And even though I've got all the answers and I've been through a lot of the stuff, some days I struggle with keeping my perspective and my beliefs positive in light of all the different negativity that you can easily see if you go surf your phone and go onto the news. I personally don't watch the news. I don't follow politics, but of course I hear about it. I see updates. I'm not blind to it. I don't bury my head in the sand. So it is definitely, understandable that a lot of you and a lot of us have been dealing with emotional issues over the last 18 months and looks like we're going to be continuing to deal with that. So I think it's important to have this conversation tonight. So again, as always, please, if you have any questions, if you're struggling, you can always reach out to me, whether it's this show, whatever it is. If you're struggling and you're having an issue and you don't feel like you have anybody to talk to, you always have me. You always have me. You guys know that. You're my Raw&Unscripted group. You guys are my Misfits for Life of the Kickass Nation. So yes. So we're going to be having a candid conversation with one of the experts that I have met recently. We connected on Clubhouse, and we've had some amazing conversations in various rooms with various topics, all surrounding really the need to support one another, the need for us to all collectively realize that we're more the same than we are different, and really take into consideration and take into ownership how we can heal ourselves and how we can have those discussions to change our beliefs and our thought processes, so that some of the tragedies and the traumas that have happened in our life, we can actually have a perspective that it happened for us and that we can grow through that in order to help other people grow and heal as well. So I'm excited to have my friend, William Zachary Murray. What's going on, William? How you doing, brother? Good to see you.
I'm doing well. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
How are you doing tonight, brother? It's good to see you. I don't think we've ever actually had a face-to-face conversation, so this is going to be good. I like this.
I know. It's actually the perfect topic because emotional intelligence, right? It's about our ability to handle the situations when we're under pressure. And ever since I was a kid, I had trouble public speaking, right? So it's getting outside my comfort zone in settings like this. But I find the reward is so much higher than the pain involved. When I'm done doing it, I feel so good. So thank you so much for having me. I consider it a great honor to be here. Thank you, Chris.
No, I do too, man. We've had some great conversations, and I've literally listened to you for hours now, being in Clubhouse since we've known each other since I think January, and knowing that you're so connected with the people who show up in the rooms, and that you always want to pour into people and listen to people and share your observations and share your vulnerabilities. I mean, seriously, that's one of the mad things I respect about you, is that you're open and honest. Even in today's room, you were talking about death. I mean, going deep in some of the subjects that a lot of us think about that not very often we discuss and openly. So I'm so thankful to have you here on the show, and I'll just want to dive right into it. I mean, like I said before, backstage we have an amazing group of people that are going to be joining us here. So we got Armageddon saying sure feels like it. We got Teresa Turner in the house. We got Monique saying, she goes, I struggle all the time. However, no one can tell by the way that I carry myself. We're going to be talking about that, Monique. That might be a good thing. That might not be necessarily such a great thing. But we got Andrea saying, yep, we all have our days. I don't watch the news either. And we thank you for that. Thank you for being here. And she goes, Teresa says, yes, we do kick ass. Love. Yes. Misfits winning. Yes. My family here, William, is amazing. So I'm so thankful you guys are here. So let's just jump right into it. This is crazy, dude, because for the duration of my show for the last, I don't know, 6 months, one of the questions I've been opening up with is like, okay, what has COVID meant for you? What have the last 18 months meant for you and your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical growth, everything else? How have you changed and evolved during this time, thinking that we were coming out of it? But it's very apparent that we are going into another storm. So talk to us about what you have observed in the last 18 months for yourself and for the people that you help. And I want to get into that.
Just more independence and sustainability than ever, less blaming and excuse making. And this topic right here with emotional intelligence, my ability to just face the facts. I don't really like that, like trying to grade each other on our intelligence in the sense of like the IQ level that people have, and how smart we are, how emotionally intelligent we are. I don't really buy into all that. Okay, but I do see how important this concept is, and that it's very synchronistic because that's exactly what's happened. Is I've become more emotionally intelligent over the past 18 months. I mean, I've gone through ups and downs in my life, Chris. I'm not afraid to share that. I wear my heart on my sleeve, my friend. I know your story, and it's so powerful. And I lived in Colorado. I moved to Colorado with $60 in my pocket. So this COVID thing it's not the end of the world for me. I've been through worse personally, right? As far as resources, right? I've been under more pressure. But this did do a clear calling for me to take more seriously my spiritual health, to do more personal development, and to get out there. And what that means is to be willing to fall forward, right? Like, it's all good if you're nervous. Like, that's a good thing because you're in touch with something that scares you a little bit. Now you can get natural highs with that. Look at the rock climber. Look at what we're doing right now. This what we're doing right now scares people They would rather jump into a fire than have a public speaking event. So, you know what, there's a certain amount of esteem that gets built in putting myself out there, and that's what's changed. I started making Instagram videos. I started just saying, you know what, William, do it. Like, you know, do it, and do it because you love it. And so I have started this attitude, Chris, that I'm not really going to do anything. I'm not going to expel any of my energy in this world anymore unless I love it. Like true labor of love. Like, or else I wouldn't be here, right? But I think love is one that I was taught at a really young age that I have to go back to every day, because there's core beliefs there that have to be taken a look at, right? Like you said, we're all growing, we're all struggling, we're all suffering in certain ways. That's part of growing up. When we were given the teachings that were a little bit backwards as kids, for me, it was like in many cases, love was a commodity. And so that's how we learned about it. We didn't talk about it in an emotional type of way, but that's exactly what it is. It is an emotion. It's bigger than that, right? So it's also, you can also demonstrate that emotional feeling for someone that you love. And love is a very powerful emotional feeling that drives us to care for our spouse and the people around us, and, you know, the people who we love. So if we were taught at a young age, like I was in many ways, that you get up and you go to church and then you're a good boy and you'll get this and now you're loved. You know, I'm not saying you know, there was great times in my family. I don't want to paint such a dark picture about them, because I love my family. But there were certain times where we picked up messages, as we are sponges as children, that love is like a commodity. We kind of earn it. We kind of need to do it. Same goes, Chris, with emotional intelligence. We already are emotional intelligence. It seems as if that phrase kind of scares you in some ways, because you're going, well, am I really emotionally intelligent because I'm having triggers, because I'm angry? It could be pointing to something that is deeper. It's wounded, a belief that you're believing, as you talk about, Chris. You're not believing in yourself, and right. And this life it has certain pressures, and we're going to have to respond. And that's why emotional intelligence is so important. That's why emotional education is so important. That's why I've dedicated my entire life to it. And yeah, in many ways, the pandemic has only pushed me to be more passionate about it and work harder, because I love what I'm doing. I'm in my flow. I'm in my passion. And you know what? When someone gives me some feedback, I'm ready to receive that. I'm much more ready to receive that. If someone says, your tone was like this, William, or we couldn't hear you, William, or, you know, you weren't here on time, William, I'm much less likely to be like beating on myself and then kind of react. Right. So dealing with those challenging relationships, that's the goal. Keep your eye on the prize. You get to deal with your relationships, even though they're challenged, and you get to be a badass. And even when you don't feel like you have enough resources, or you're just navigating so many different types of change, you're working through all these different types of, you know, trials and tribulations. That's why emotional intelligence, that's where the prize is, Chris. So I hope that explains.
No, it does. It does. Thank you, brother. And I appreciate what you were saying about that, because really what I was thinking about when you were talking, one of two things. The first thing that I want to just really get into is the fact that, you know, through these trials and tribulations that we have in our life, one of the most important facets of what we can do to get through it, either positively or negatively, is how we talk to ourselves, the language that we use on ourselves, right? We often say, would you say what you say to yourself to the person that you love the most? And talk to us about that. Talk to us about that journey for yourself in changing and rewriting the language that you used on yourself to change the outcomes that you have today.
Oh yeah. I mean, there were times in my life where my self-talk was poor, very poor. And where I would say,
can you give us an idea of that? Give us an idea of that, just so we have it for context.
Yeah. I mean, like moving to Colorado with $60 in your pocket, and looking around and comparing yourself to people who are successful or have their businesses going, and you're judging yourself, right? And you're looking at yourself like there's something wrong with me. It's like deeper. You can hear it sometimes, but it's on a deep level. I would say a subconscious level that you can just feel it. There's something wrong with me. That's the kind of deepest, like, poor self-talk that I've ever said to myself. That I'm somehow useless.
And so what have you done to reframe those conversations in your brain?
Well, I've gotten into expressing my talents and understanding what my strengths are, and practicing self-awareness and understanding what is real. I'm actually talented with. Like I wanted to really go out there and be a musician, and I still play music, and I still love playing music, and I do it as a hobby. You can see my gong in the back, but I also do guitar, and I do keyboards, and I do recordings and stuff like that. But it wasn't making any money. And it was because I kind of had this realization and this awareness that really wasn't my God-given talent. So once I really understood and I really accepted that, wow, William, like I really understood, I heard the voice of this of truth. I understood that I am awesome, that I have amazing abilities that I always had, even when I was 5, 6 years old. Communication skills. You see what happened right there? I lost my train of thought, and then I got it back. This is like emotional intelligence. This is real life stuff. So that's why I dedicate my life to it. And I've got chill bumps just doing this, man.
Chill bumps. We got chill bumps on the Raw and Unscripted show. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, let's pause for a drink right there. Absolutely. We got some comments going on. We got people always saying what's going on, what's going on. Robert says, it says here when he goes, when my parents would have friends over for dinner, I often heard that the early years leading to the first grade in Mississauga found me practicing medicine without a license or clothes. Okay. Robert, I love you, buddy. I love you. You come up with some of the greatest stuff. Andrea says here, self-talk is so important. What we say to ourselves will either make us or break us. Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. We got Darlene in the house. She says, evening, y'all. Yeah, absolutely. I think about my journey, and my journey about being homeless and everything. And, I thought I was stupid. I didn't have any self-confidence whatsoever. I didn't have the ability to speak up or talk for myself or anything like that. And I was for the first 17 years of my life. And so the way that I rewrote my language programming was getting into personal development. It was really getting into Tony Robbins. I remember reading the book, Awaken the Giant Within, at the gym and thinking, oh my God, I'm the one responsible for changing the programming of my brain. I'm the one that's responsible for changing my belief systems about what it is that I think about most often, and hence my results. Talk to us about a time in your life, William, because you've kind of alluded that you've had some ups and downs and some challenges. Talk to us about a time in your life where you had, what felt like maybe an insurmountable challenge that you've learned the greatest lesson through.
Yeah, man, I'll be happy to share this one, although it's a little embarrassing. I got a DWAI, which is driving while ability impaired, in Colorado. So I was, I got a.
Oh, so you were high?
No, I had a couple drinks.
Oh, okay.
It's less than a DUI.
Oh, okay.
So it's just like in Colorado and New York, in those two states, they have a law where if it's 0.5 or above, not 0.8, where it's normally 0.8 across the United States, if it's 0.5 or above, they give you this, right? So this was the time when I moved out there. I really didn't have much going for me. So I went to jail, right? And I was living, Chris, by a very thin thread, financially, emotionally. And I was out there like a rolling stone on the great unknown, and it's the decisions I was making. I was using Craigslist to try to work trade with people, and that would get me into funny, weird situations. Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
I can imagine.
Along the way in Colorado, that's a fast area. Like people, they party, they do stuff. So that was always there for me to go back into. But I was having these challenges with the law, and I had to go do 200 hours of therapy, group therapy, for what I had done. I also had to do 6 days in jail. And I was I was in there with the guys with the swastikas on their foreheads, and I was in there with the gangsters and the guy. They didn't, I didn't feel good. Let's just say that, with the orange jumpsuit and all of it. that's as raw as I can and unscripted as I can tell you. And it didn't feel good. It didn't feel like me, obviously. And I was caged, literally. I had to keep going. I had to continue to go. And so I called the counseling center that I called. By the grace of God, they took me in, and they didn't treat me like a paycheck or an object. They treated me like a human being, and I started to learn to make their coffee and clean up after them. And after the sessions were over, and they traded me, because this was expensive. We're talking $16-20 every session, 2-hour session. I got to do 100 of them. So
wow.
I didn't have any money. I was trying to figure out, how am I going to do this? Those people became my family. I spent Christmas with those guys. They invited me to their Christmas and gave me a gift in front of everyone. It's that type of people, Chris. It's not me. It's that type of love that's in the human spirit that sees a human being and isn't afraid to help that person, no matter how. We got to take care of ourselves, but there's been certain times in my life where I've had to just keep going, man, and have that resilience and not duck my tail in between my legs and say, Dad, can I get some money, or can I come back home and live in the upstairs, whatever, because I knew I wouldn't feel good if I did that.
Right.
I had to keep going. I had no choice. I had no skills. I had no degree. I didn't really have any credibility. I didn't have a girlfriend.
And how old were you at this time?
24. I'm 37 now, so this is 11 years ago. And I've come a long way. But I was able to use my communication skills, and they taught me how to. This is crazy because it's the first time I've really opened up about a lot of this stuff. But they let me run the group sessions at the counseling center, because they were so impressed by me, and they loved me, and they let me lead them. They would have a counselor in there, but they would let me lead them and give, and because I would bring inspiration to it. And so I found a love for that. And I still kind of continued to bury it and figure things out. But as I just kept going, Chris, things happened. Good things happened. I figured out how to work at a barbecue restaurant. I got fired from the barbecue restaurant because I had the wrong attitude. I went and got another barbecue restaurant job, cleaning up, and working with pigs and ribs. And that's where I met my girl now. But those were tough times too, where I was tracking through the snow, and that all that stuff was behind me. I put all that alcohol stuff behind me. I paid my dues, got it all done. Now a new life. It doesn't make life easier just because you're off probation, right? Now you got to. So I'm tracking through the snow in Colorado. I don't have a car. So I caught a lot of breaks from the universe, Chris, and I'm really, as you can see, I'm a survivor. I'm a tough.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, man. Thank you for sharing that, brother. I appreciate your vulnerability, because that's what the show is all about. You know what? That's what I'm all about, is we share it, and we bring it out into the open, because that ultimately makes all of the listeners and the viewers, whether they're watching this on the video cast or listening on the podcast, it makes them kind of go, oh shit, maybe I'm not so screwed up. Maybe I'm not so alone, So thank you for sharing that, because me, I share everything, warts and all. But one of the things I want to talk about, because I am the no excuses coach. So what were some of your excuses when you were younger, and what do you do? I should just say, what are some of your excuses, and what are your ways of mitigating some of those excuses that maybe you struggled with then, or maybe you still struggle with now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you so much, Chris. My parents were divorced at a really, really young age. And I think subconsciously that messed with me, because I could see, without being able to express it, I could see that other people's parents were together. And then my family was a little different, but I didn't know how to express that.
How old were you when they divorced?
About 6 years old, really young. And I kind of saw it happening, and, there just wasn't a lot of love in the house between the two. There was more, what I remember is more arguing and kind of trying to fuss and figure things out. So to go into your question, how I developed, refresh me again, and how I challenged that sense of myself. Please refresh that question, Chris.
So basically what I'm looking for is, I think about my excuses. Sometimes I feel like I don't feel like it. Like that's one of my excuses. So it's like I started understanding like what does it mean when I don't feel like it? It's like, what am I intending? What is my expectation? So now I started studying, okay, what do I do when I don't feel like it? And I found Mel Robbins. So now I'm like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I do it. Because I know that psychologically my brain has 5 seconds before it's going to try to convince myself not to do something because I don't feel like doing it. So now I know 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get my ass up and go do whatever it is that I need to do. So that's one of the ways that I mitigate for my excuses. So just thinking about your life, either previously or today, what are some of the excuses that come up in your brain?
I just gave it to you. Is that you see how my mind works? I went right back there to childhood to blame it. Well, Chris, let me tell you about my parents' divorce. That's what my mind does. So that's something I'm working through. It's to not have to see everything through that lens and to really be myself rather than blaming who I am, what I am, everything, that is about me and questioning myself rather than that, looking at it from a more healthy perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure you've been asked this question and thought about it. The healing work that has to go on from that perspective. Do you still have a positive relationship with your mom and dad?
I do. I honor and respect my parents very much, and they believe things that are completely different from how I believe things. And we can still create that feeling of love for each other and still stay in touch. I think it's very important to honor and respect my parents, no matter how different our beliefs are, because they gave me life. And also because like when I find myself judging or criticizing them, I don't want to do that. It doesn't put me in a good place vibrationally. Energetically, It doesn't, it's an excuse. It's using your parents as a crutch and looking at things as a child would and saying, well, my parents were divorced, so that's why I'm not as, that's why you don't see the Lamborghinis in the back or whatever. You're trying to compensate, but you create these excuses, and it's, that has been it. That has been my biggest excuse, that my parents got divorced. And that will forever shape my life and change me, that defines who I am. Now, to answer the other part of your question, it doesn't define who I am at all. Right. What defines me is what I go on and do from here. And my friends have been telling me this for years, that William, you're an incredible speaker. I could see you doing this. I could see you need to do a podcast. You need to do writing. We've been telling you this for years. You're awesome. That kind of thing, that move on, be in the present. My best friends, they'll tell you that, and every one of them will tell you that, because that's the key. And that's why I keep this book on my desk at all times, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. Move on, because that time has gone. There's no reason to use that as an excuse. An excuse to who?
I know, it's basically you're trying to con yourself. It's like, what? Wait a minute, that doesn't even weigh in.
Yep. And so I've had to take space from my relationships with my family. I live in California. They live in Alabama, as where I grew up. I've had to really honor like that our beliefs are different, and that in that way many boundaries are created. And I've learned that I was never going to get that love and attention and compassion that I was looking for from them. And I was never going to get anything out of the excuse. So I burned out my energy on that, riding on that old OS framework and operating system. And at some point I just decided, well, I can't do that anymore. I mean, it's time's not, time's going by here. So I guess that's the only affirmation I do really, is that I am awesome. And I really believe that. There's been so many times in my life where I just was stuck in the past, and my mind will still do it
it's a negative feedback loop. Yeah, it's something that's certain. It goes back to that. That's why we have to rewire. That's why we believe in neuroplasticity and refiring that brain. Because for me, it's about looking at that situation from a different perspective. Right? I can look at all the tragedies and all the traumas that I've been through in my life, and with grace and with appreciation, I can say I'm so glad that I went through those, because I chose to grow through those, and because I grew through those, I was able to go back and help so many other people do the same thing. So it's like that whole thing of making your message. But in that process, one of the biggest factors for me to be successful and be here talking to you today, one of the huge challenges that I had was my anger. my anger and my resentment, my desire to be right, my egocentric kind of being, if you will. And doing that. And what I had to really realize is I had to figure out, okay, where was the source of the anger? The anger was rooted in resentment. It was also rooted in guilt and shame. Talk to us about that. Did you absorb any guilt or shame for the divorce of your parents? Were there siblings involved?
I wouldn't frame it just like that, but I do think that we are like sponges as children. We're constantly picking up on energies. And I think what happens is, as a young child, we're much more emotionally developed than we are rationally developed at certain ages, especially around the middle childhood years of 6 to 9. It's just a really important age group. And at that point, we are very much like emotional sponges, and we sponge stuff up, but we can't sort of process it and make sense of it. And so that's where it turns back on us, and the mind kind of says, well, it's your fault. Of course, it could be your parents having dysfunction. So I don't believe that I absorbed shame from them, but what I did was a very sneaky trick that maybe it saved my life, because I don't know, but that's what happened. And I decided, I think on some level I decided that, well, I'll just stay clear of this. I'll just stay on the sidelines. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you more or less played it safe, right? I mean, because it's all about that healing. But so in a different way of framing it, what type of work have you had to do with empathy and forgiveness on your journey to be where you're at today? Because I know a lot of people that are listening to this and watching this right now, have a hard time dealing with that, and having empathy and forgiveness, not only for the things that we've done to ourselves and maybe the bad decisions that we've made personally, but for the transgressions that have happened along our journey. Talk to us about that, because that was one of the biggest factors of me, was being able to see and understand my mother from a different perspective, that I didn't expect her to be a mother, and went through her life as a person. Might I be like her? Yes. Okay, so that gave me a lot of leeway to be able to sit there and have forgiveness and empathy for her. Like, she really was doing the best that she could. She didn't expect to have a kid. She was going to place me for adoption. She literally said she did the best she could. So having empathy and understanding for what she went through as a kid and as an adult allowed me to release a lot of that anger. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that can be really healthy, definitely. And to understand that this stuff is passed down, that it's not personal necessarily so much as, because I don't think that most people's parents kind of pull them up and say, well, we would love to ruin your life, son, or daughter. We really want to screw your life up forever too. Not just in your early years, but have this be plaguing you in your 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s. No, I don't think they do that. I think that the messages that are backwards are about love, mainly, that love is something that's earned, or that we have to do something to get that love. And the main message that we need to receive as a child is that we are unconditionally loved. And I think it's a hard one to really wrap your brain around, but parents can't they can provide unconditional love at times, but it's harsh. It's hard. It's a little bit more complicated than we like to think. Parents make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And when we get in this mode of judging and criticizing people, we're wasting our energy, right? We're wasting our energy on things that we don't want to waste our energy on. And we make mistakes too. So I think that was a big part of the forgiveness, was understanding that, like, I'm not really sure, it was an acceptance, forgiveness, trying to figure this out, trying to get the feeling of emptiness out and find some kind of spiritual center. Because all that time of spending, trying to look in the past and figure out why are things the way they are now, I was just wasting that energy. So I think in forgiving, it was about me. It was about self-love. It was about first realizing, like, wow, like, this is your life. And one of the other things I wanted to say was just manning up, really, and not manning up. That's a bad phrase. Taking emotional self-responsibility.
Yes.
I create my emotions. They create theirs. They created their life. I create my life. And when you fully get that, you're like, I'm a powerful dude. I can do whatever I want to do. And I'm cool with failing. I'm cool with failing. I mean, it's not even failure. It's fun at that point, you know?
Yep.
So
Failing is not the falling down. Failing is the staying down. So when I think about a lot to what you just said, reminds me a lot of what I read in books. Talk to us about you talked about the power of now. Talk to us about some influential books that have helped you tremendously in your journey to be successful where you're at today.
Oh man, I want to show this one. Well, I read the I Ching. I consult the book of Changes, which is a fun way for me to connect with my higher powers and
what is that? What is that for us novices? I Ching sounds like something I order from a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, the I Ching is.
I'll take 2 I Chings.
Yeah, it's a book of oracles. Let me just read real quick. At least 5,000 years old, the I Ching is a book of oracles containing the whole of human experience. Used for divination, it is a method of exploring the unconscious through symbolism and hexagrams. Symbolism of its hexagrams, we're guided towards the solution of difficult problems in life situations. So you might seen in the old movies where the guys are playing with the little yarrow sticks on like some of the older Chinese movies, the fighting movies and stuff. Anyway, you go through the old village and the guys are playing with the little game and they're throwing the sticks. So you get a hexagram, you get your hexagram built, and then that's supposed to teach you something based on about self-development that's going to push you forward. So that's what I really like about it, is its randomness and how it's just kind of fun and it gets me going. And then I get to read this powerful spiritual advice from 3,000, 5,000 years ago from these ancient Chinese masters. Imagine it like Elon Musk and the people who are just like, you go, how does this dude do? He's on some other wavelength,
right?
Like he's going to the moon and stuff. Like I'm happy to be a coach and I run a nonprofit and do that. But like, how is this dude he's using more of his mind than me or something, right? That's kind of how I feel about that book. Whenever I pick up the Book of Changes, the I Ching, and I do the readings, which it's been confused with like tarot and things like that, which I don't, because you'll find it in the same sections of the healer shops and things like that, but it's ancient Chinese wisdom, right? Not just Chinese food, but Chinese
ancient food Chinese secret. Oh
yeah, bro. I mean, it changed my life because it shows me it showed me how to align, and it got me understanding how nature works instead of how William wants nature to work.
Expectations.
Yeah, big time.
So talk to us about that. How have your expectations been adjusted? Because I'm massively keen on that.
Yeah, I mean, just walking the walk, has totally changed my life. And instead of talking the talk, just being willing to walk the walk. That's been a huge thing as far as expectations go. I mean, expecting things from other people, expecting things from myself. I mean, it could be anything little. Like, should I really expect my girl to wash all the dishes? Like, it's not fair, really, necessarily. Like, it would be better if we did it as a team.
Right.
Like, so easy to say, but oftentimes she's in there and she's the one that washes the dishes because I'm into other stuff, right? So just being willing to bring that awareness and say, hey, don't be like that, right?
Right.
Don't leave the greasy spoon in the there for her. Wash it off and put it in the dishwasher. And so
raise your standards.
Discipline, right? Understanding what my standards are and having that discipline and doing that compassionately. Hopefully that answers the question.
It does. So thinking about the conversation, one of the things that really came into my brain, thinking about the people that are home watching this or listening to it, is the struggle of just simply asking the question, who am I? Right. And I think for me, I'm 52. I've talked to a lot of people. A lot of people are coming to me for coaching in their 40s, 50s, and 60s right now because they're getting to a point where they don't want to have a life of regret. They don't want to continue being comfortably miserable. They want to fulfill a legacy. They want to be able to aspire and wake up with passion and be free to be able to do and be who they are. You know, the book, The 5 Regrets of the Dying, talks about the biggest regret from the hospice nurse sitting next to these patients dying was that they lived a life that they thought they should live versus the life that they wanted to live. And when I think about, you know, who we are and what we're comprised of and who our identity really is, it gets me thinking in a lot of different ways. I know we just had that the spiritual talk a little bit earlier on Clubhouse. What are your thoughts on identity, and what can we do to help people who are struggling to figure out who they are?
Yeah, I think you got to start with what you're already doing, because that'll show you a lot. So with people who are struggling with who they are, it goes back to that thing I said earlier about there's something wrong with me. Because if you think there's something wrong with you, then you're struggling with who you are.
Right.
Because it's not true. You're putting on you're living a lie, to put it quite simply. So the first thing we got to do is just take a look at what you're already doing. Do you have a core belief, or are you actually saying that to yourself or writing in a journal? I don't know. Are you putting that out there into the world and saying, I don't belong here. There's something really deeply wrong with me. That's gonna push all that energy out there, and that's what you're gonna get back, my friend. And so we've got to take a look at that, and not come from a place of let me rip that belief out and put in a new one, like an operating system, but more so of a careful, okay, why have you been telling yourself that? Because we've got to get in a little bit deeper. Like, by all means, go on and keep telling yourself that there's something wrong with you. I don't believe that, but okay, you tell me why you think there's something wrong with you. And then that person will say something. You continue to do the why questions, and you'll get down with that person, and they'll see, and you'll see, and you'll have this moment where, yeah, it is really ridiculous. It's just absurd. That's a spiritual moment. You'll know because you're laughing at it. You've moved on, kind of, in a way.
Right.
Get the truth. You don't ever have to go back. You can choose to go back, but you don't have to. It's much easier because you've got the life lesson now. So the life lesson is there's really not anything wrong with you. You're divine, right? We got to get a bigger picture perspective and take a look at it from a different angle. And I think that's what coaching and therapy is intended to do, is to not look at it at a different angle, but look at it from a clearer, more aware place. And understand that, that we actually can challenge those things too. We can just say, you know what, that's not true. If we hear that resonating in our consciousness, well, you should doubt yourself, William. No, of course not. It's ridiculous. Being willing to engage in that, it's not multiple personality disorder. It's not schizophrenia. It's just having that conversation with the universe. We all have self-talk. We all say things. We all picked up things from childhood, and it's only up to us because no one else is going to change it. So I like to think of it as kind of a tweak. It's not that much different. I mean, we have to do a flip. We have to understand it. But I want, as I approach it, I don't want anyone to kind of think that, like, oh, well, he just thinks that I do have that belief, and he thinks I can just kind of replace it. Because I don't think it's that easy. I think no. I think it takes time. And I think that everybody can do it. Over time, it just gets less loud. Like when you work your muscles out, when you do more, when you get outside more, it's easier for you to get outside now that you've taken a couple days and gotten outside, right? So you just build it up a little bit. And I think that you start to see it from a different perspective, and you get a bigger perspective that, hey, I am literally awesome. And yes, sometimes I do some things that are a little goofy. It's stupid.
Because you're human, right?
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to what you were saying before, and I almost jumped in, what's wrong with me, rephrasing that question, what's right? And really saying what's wrong. If there's something wrong, then there's an opportunity for healing. There's an opportunity for growth. There's an opportunity for expansion. There's an opportunity for evolvement. But what so many people do is they sit there and they say, I don't want to deal with that, like you were saying before, and they come up with the excuses. And then they go to either, I'm going to blame everybody else for my problems and not accept responsibility, or I'm going to sit there and numb myself out with short-term gratifications to numb myself from the life that I'm running away from. It's absolutely ludicrous. That's why people come to me for the no excuses coach. Like, I've got this negative thought loop, that's just creating this pathetic outcome of a life, and being able to take ownership and take responsibility for our situations, because of everything that's going on in the world right now. We say that hurt people, right? And so talk to us about what we can say to the hurt people out there who are doing this. What action steps can we give them, like a 1, 2, 3, that they can do to start healing some of that hurt? Because I truly believe that once we all accept responsibility for our hurt and our pain, and we fix some of that, then we're not so outwardly consumed with egotistical stuff. We're not outwardly consumed with greed and everything else. So talk to us a little bit about that.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, I don't know if there is a simple 1, 2, 3. I mean, for some people it can be that simple, but it's not always that simple, right? But I do think sitting down or sitting down like we're sitting down in a chair and getting your feet flat on the ground and just relaxing and doing a meditation, I think that's a really good way to get started, because then you're sitting in the emotions. You're not necessarily blaming anyone else for those emotions. You're sitting in it. You're sitting in a way that you're saying, well, they're going to keep coming. I got to do that. And I think that that's a really, really awesome first step towards people who want to take on maybe getting a new coach or go on a path of personal development. It's just that moment right there. It seems like it's not like the sexy answer that people want, but if you will do it. I remember the pandemic, just self-talk, 15, 18 months ago, a year and a half ago. The 3 a.m. mind that just was waking me up, and it was not healthy. It was not telling me I look sexy. It was not telling me that I'm doing really good. I'm saving a lot of money, which I was doing really good and saving money. And I know I'm not like Fabio, but I'm not a bad looking guy. But at that time, my self-image was poor. So every day for 3 or 4 days there, as I would wake up in the morning and I would have trouble focusing and kind of trouble understanding what I really was aligned with, I just started to sit. I just started to sit again and meditate again. I had gotten away from that. I was always on the computer, focusing on making money, doing these businesses, doing that business. And I had actually lost touch with that side of me that loves to just chill and listen to music and just feel the good times. You know what I mean? And
yes. I was just reading Robert's. Some people were saying hi. We got Ray's in the house. What's up, Ray? Ray's in the house. Misfits for life, brother. Misfits for life. Holy shit, dude! We've been talking already for 47 minutes. It's not like we never talk or anything, but man, I so appreciate you being on the show, and I so appreciate you sharing and being vulnerable and just being straight with everybody. I mean, that's what we need more of in this world right now. We need to go to people who give it to us straight, who are not bullshitting us, who are not trying to feed us a bunch of lies, not trying to sell us shit or convince us of shit, aside from the fact that we're all unique beings. We're all unique spiritual beings here having this human existence. And the sooner that we realize that we're more the same than we are different, the sooner we can basically coalesce and help heal one another and make this world a better place for who we are and what we do. At least that's my hope. That's my wish. That's my intention every single day. Final thoughts from you and where they can get a hold of you to continue the conversation, my friend.
You guys can go to my website, ehiaonline.com. That's ehiaonline.com, and fill out the form, if you will, if you want to get in touch with us. Or email me at ehiaonline@gmail.com, and you can always get in touch with us there. Yeah. We're always looking for opportunity to speak. And go ahead, Chris.
That one, EHA, did I spell it right?
That's it. Yep.
And then also on Instagram.
Yep.
On the gram. So final thoughts, my friend. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts are, we do it a little bit differently in our nonprofit. We just got our nonprofit established, Emotional Health Industry Association Incorporated. We do things a little bit differently. Everybody gets a leadership role. Much like Chris has asked me to come speak and be a part of his program, we really believe in that kind of collaboration and encouraging people and getting them outside their comfort zone. And we're not another boring support group. We're a supporter community, right? I'm sorry, support groups might be really helpful, but I don't like that term. I think everybody can play a leadership role. I think there's an inner leader in every single one of you guys that's listening to this. And that part of you is already like emotionally intelligent, like scoring 180 on the IQ. So let's just tap into that super awesome part of us. Take deep breaths, relax, make sure we're eating and drinking water, eating good food, getting outside, right? Exercising our bodies. And also this is emotions are what sustains life. Think about it like this. They're as important as your heart or your brain. If we didn't have our emotions, we wouldn't survive. So those are kind of the last thoughts, is like, if you're mourning, if you're grieving, if you're going through anything, which we all do in life, take care of your emotions. It's like you want to love yourself is really what I'm saying, Chris.
You got to love yourself.
Not loving yourself, ask yourself the question, why am I not loving myself? And you'll find the answer for yourself.
William Zachary Murray. Thank you, brother, for being here on the Raw and Unscripted show. I'm going to place you backstage here for a second. I'm going to make some final comments. Don't go anywhere. We can have a little chat.
That was fun.
You are welcome. Hang on one sec, brother. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you all for being here and all your comments and all your questions. I appreciate it. Please take this opportunity to connect with William. Like I said before, it's amazing when you have instrumental people in your life who pour into you, who want to see the best for you, who have been on the journey themselves, that can speak from candid experience. That's what this is about. That's what Raw and Unscripted is about. That's what I'm about. It's really about having these vulnerable conversations. So wherever you're at in your life, find people that you can have those conversations with. Do not repress your emotions. Do not suppress your emotions. Do not run away from them. Your emotions are there, like William just said, as a key factor in illuminating us to where it is that we're at on our journey. I did a podcast, you guys might remember, I don't know, a couple of months ago. It was called Signposts, right? Sometimes we get hit with these signposts in our life that cause us to have to step back and take a thought and actually take a beat to realize where it is that we're at. But having those people in your life, being able to have a trusted team with people that you trust and that empower you and that hold you accountable, and that you have mentors, that is so important. You cannot do it alone. You cannot do it alone. I tried doing it alone and it was miserable. I was strong and I was tough and I was able to tell everybody, oh, listen, I'm doing it on my own. But inside I was dying. Inside I was crying. Inside I felt alone in a full room. Right. So I had to sit there and I had to take a look at my emotions. I had to take a look at the blame and the guilt and the resentment and the anger and the feeling of inadequacy and all those different emotions. I had to deal with those. And I had to sit there. Okay, why do I have these feelings? Like William said, okay, those were belief systems that were implanted by my mother. Okay, was my mother the best caretaker in the world? No. So does that mean the beliefs are accurate? No. Okay, so might I think about differently those belief systems, right? Okay, maybe I'm not a piece of shit. Everybody around me doesn't think I'm a piece of shit. So, hey, I might change my opinion of myself, right? So many other people will believe in us so much more than we will believe in ourselves. And that's the idiocracy of life, right? My mentor did it for me. He believed in me. He said, hey, Chris, go back to school. You're a 7th grade dropout. You're living in an apartment with like 5 other guys working 4 jobs. You should go back and get your GED. And I was like, what are you, crazy? I'm stupid. And he says, no, you're not. He goes, Christopher, you're only limited by the parameters of your own mind. You're only limited by the parameters of your own mind, ladies and gentlemen. That's what he said to a 17-year-old kid who had no faith, no confidence, no belief in himself, no voice. He said, you're only limited by the parameters of your own mind. So I went and I got my GED, and then I went and got my associate's degree. Then I got my bachelor's degree. Then I got my master's degree. And then I became a speaker. Then I became a coach. And then I started traveling all over the world. And then I started doing websites and writing books and doing blogs and doing video cast shows, right? Living my life. I want you guys to live your life too. Live your life now. There are no guarantees. There are nothing but uncertainties in life. And when you're able to pivot, when you're able to be flexible to whatever life throws at you and say, hey, listen, oh, that's an interesting one. Okay, I haven't dealt with that one before. Let's see what we got to do. Let's suit up. Okay, shit's going to get real. Let's suit up. Who do I need to become in order to get through this shit? Who do I need to become? Right? Who do I need to model? What behavior do I need to model? And in some situations, maybe we need to become a different version of ourselves to get us through that. But I can tell you this, when you have the faith and you have the belief and you have the trust to keep putting one foot in front of the other, when you have the faith and the belief and the trust to know that things are going to work out in your favor, as long as you continue doing the work, as long as you keep pushing forward, as long as you're willing to experience life and not run away from it, That's what happens. That's what creates the vibrational energy that says you're ready for the next step. That's the vibrational reward that comes back and says, hey, Chris, hey, Ray, hey, Angel, hey, William, you've graduated to the next level. You've learned the lesson you need to learn right now. So now we're going to reward you with more opportunities, but we're also going to reward you with more opportunities for struggles. The struggles never end, ladies and gentlemen. We don't get to a panacea of life where we get to say, oh my God, I made it. There's no more troubles. I have all the money. I have all the answers. No, you just get new problems. I was just listening to Dennis Waitley, Psychology of Success. Go listen to it. He's one of the greats. And he's talking about, he's 88 years old now. And he says, I would give up all my money right now for 1 more year of life. Think about that. Give up all of his money. He's lived his life. He's been super successful. And he talks about the regrets that he's had. And it's really impacted me because, okay, before I wanted to do all that stuff and I wanted to experience all that stuff, but I would not want to get to a point where I say, I want to give it all up for 1 more year of life. What that tells me is there are moments in his life that he didn't live. So that tells me there's an opportunity for me to learn a lesson, to be in these moments, to share with you guys, to grow along with you guys in this journey for however long it is that we're here. Why not? That's the beauty. That's the gift of doing this. So I love each and every one of you. If you're struggling, if you have anything on your mind that you want to talk about, I'm still giving out the complimentary coaching sessions because I want to make sure that we're helping one another. You go and do a couple of nice things for somebody else. It's not a freebie. You go do something nice for somebody else. You pay it forward. That's what this is all about. I love you guys. We're going to be here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, as always. So make sure we are in there. Also, I wanted to tell you, since you guys are still watching my podcast, all the shows are updated. So if you know somebody who maybe just can't watch this or doesn't want to watch it on a Tuesday night, the podcast, if you go into Spotify, if you go into iTunes and you just type in Raw and Unscripted, you can get it. I would love for you to subscribe to it as well, get more exposure there. So you guys are great. Angel says, have a great evening, everybody. Love you, Angel. Ray says, great as always. Thank you, my dear friend. You guys rock. We'll see you next time on the Raw and Unscripted show with Christopher Rausch.